Thank you for tuning in to the best parenting show on the internet, Post Daily Dose.
It's the Post. It's the Post. It's the Post. The Post Daily Dose. It's the Post. It's the Post. It's the Post. The Post Daily Dose. It's the Post. It's the Post.
Hey, good evening, Facebook family. Welcome to another episode of Post Daily Dose with me, your trusted parenting advisor, faithful guide, and servant on the healing journey. What's my name? Big Papa Brian+Post. Hope everyone's doing fantastic on this tremendous Tuesday, and I hope you've been very productive and very focused and very mindful. In tonight's episode, I thought I would talk to you guys about emotional regression, the hidden culprit. And I believe that it is probably one of the single most overlooked dynamics that occur with children and with adults that doesn't get addressed. So I want to spend a little time this evening talking about that. Hello there, Mimi, and hello there, Amy. So emotional regression. Alan Shore, in one of his tomes, actually one of his first ones, Affect Regulation and the Origin of the Self, said that there's research that has proven that some adults in stress have the ability to regress all the way to infancy. All the way to infancy. And that's adults. And then there's also research that says in times of stress, I think this is something that Bruce Perry quotes quite often, in times of stress, we revert to our developmental zone of comfort. So in times of stress, you revert right up to that point at when that trauma occurred, because up until then, that was your developmental zone of comfort. So you're progressing, and all of a sudden, bam, something stressful happens, and that creates a developmental hijacking, a developmental barrier, if you will. So a lot of times when parents are struggling with their children, one of the things that is often overlooked is that the stress causes regression. And so your 10-year-old may be really struggling, and you're engaging your 10-year-old like they're 10. You're talking to them like they're 10. The school's holding expectations of them like they're 10, but they're not 10 emotionally. Emotionally, they could be 5, they could be 3, they could be an infant. I mean, if adults can regress to infancy, certainly children can too. And so I really want you to remember that there's chronological, there's cognitive, and there's emotional. And the emotional age, very important, the emotional age dictates to the cognitive and the chronological. The emotional age dictates to the cognitive and chronological. So if you're going through some challenging times right now with your child, especially coming up on Christmas and get all these presents and all this kind of stress and stuff, that's going to cause some regression. I guarantee it. All of a sudden, your child's going to go from being 15 to being 4, and you're not going to know what's going on. And the first thing that's going to come out of your mouth is you need to grow up. You need to act your age. You need to act your age and not your shoe size. Stop acting like a little baby. See, all of those are cultural imprints. That's from the dominant cultural story that says when children are acting out, or when they're whining, or when they're misbehaving, they're not acting their age. Well, we say that from a negative mindset. We say that from a perspective of stress and threat. When you experience a child's negative behavior as a threat, it makes you feel stressed. And so you say, at your age, you need to grow up. And actually, what you're doing in that moment is you're trying to create safety for yourself. You're really not trying to soothe your child. You're trying to create safety for yourself by getting them to all of a sudden stop this emotional regression. You might not even know it was an emotional regression. But when they emotionally regress, what they need from you more than anything is to slow down. They need for you to see that they are not in their chronological mind. They're not in their cognitive mind. They're in their emotional mind, and they need you to speak to the emotional mind. Now, here's the other thing about that. And when I say speak to the emotional mind, I think I might have talked about this on a Daily Dose once. I had a kid who was with me, and she wanted to be in the shopping cart, which is fine because I feel like she was actually 10 years old. A 10-year-old kid who wants to get in the shopping cart needs to be in the shopping cart because unconsciously there's something about that feels safe for her. Of course, the fun part is getting pushed by the other. I had 3 kids with me one day, all in Walmart, because I like to do experiments like that. And she got, one of the kids was pushing her around and she got to scream and all this kind of stuff. And then at one point she sat up on the edge and the kid went to push the basket and she kind of fell. It kind of scared me. And I was like, okay, you're going to have to get out of the basket. And as soon as I said that, she balled down into the bottom of the basket, the shopping basket at Walmart, and she said, no, just like a little baby. And I knew it immediately that she had went from being 10 to being a baby. And I didn't say anything. I just took a deep breath. I said, if you're going to stay in the basket, I need you to keep your booty on the bottom of the basket. Otherwise, I get scared because I get afraid that you're going to fall out. So booty on the bottom of the basket, okay? Head shaking, and then we're good the rest of the time. Then when it was time for her to get out, she was actually able to get out. But I responded to the emotional age. I didn't respond to the cognitive age. Had I responded to the cognitive or the chronological age, I might have said, don't act like a baby. Get out of the basket because I told you to get out of the basket. It's not safe. And then that would have been just created some madness. But here's the other thing. It's kind of this other side of this emotional regression dynamic I want you guys to be aware of. If you love Post Daily Dose, I want you to share it. Would you just click on that share and just share it with, share it to your page, share it to friends, share it to family members. You don't know who's struggling in your life and in your family. All of this just popped in my head. The reality is we're at like 39,500 followers and likes. We're almost at 40,000, and that means I need you guys to share the Daily Dose. So if you love the Daily Dose, if it's meaningful for you, if it touches you, if this information has been helpful, please share it to your page so your other friends and family members can learn and can be a part of our evolution and just have an opportunity to hear something different. That's the end of that commercial message. Now back to our regularly scheduled programming. So the other side of that emotional regression dynamic is before we progress, we regress. So there are times when you've been going along with your child and everything seems to go pretty good, and then it's like Katie barred the door, all hell breaks loose. They start acting like a baby again. They start back talking. They don't want to do what you ask them to do. They get defiant, and it's all of a sudden it just gets crazy. And you're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I have this experience all the time. Parents are like, things have been going really good, and now all of a sudden, and you can feel the panic. Breathe. And this is what I always tell them. Your child is probably getting ready to make a developmental leap. Because before we progress, we regress. And it's just something in the emotional brain. We regress and we go back and we just, we act a little more infantile, a little younger in our maturity. And I feel like it's just something the brain and the body is doing just to make sure this foundation is solid and capable of holding us for another developmental leap. So just keep that in mind. Next time your child, you're having a really tough time, it's been really good, and then it gets really tough, keep in mind that they're probably about to make a developmental growth spurt. Could even be a physical growth spurt because the body gets stressed. And when the body gets stressed, we regress. So keep that in mind. When we get ready to grow, our brain becomes stressed. It's a natural part of our development. When we become stressed, we regress. We have to regress before we can progress. So the best thing for you to do is just to go in and prop up that support, prop up that foundation, prop up that nurturing, prop up that connection, meet your child right where they're at emotionally. Don't allow yourself to get freaked out about it. Allow yourself to breathe and be mindful and stay patient and focused and as calm as possible, and tell your child, we're going to get through this. Everything's going to be okay. And as soon as their brain realizes that everything is okay, bam, they'll make that next developmental progression. And then that's when you get to see your child reach that next level of maturity. So I hope and pray that this is helpful for you guys. God bless you. Big Papa loves you. Remember, in any given situation, you always have two choices. You can continue to hold your breath, get stressed, and react and be overwhelmed from your same imprints of stress and fear. And those imprints go back generations. Generations. Did you see that post I shared on my Facebook page? Gosh, what was it? A couple weeks ago, about research showing that our generational programming can go back as far as 7 generations, and they're starting to look at this through the study of worms. What worms, of all things, imagine worms are 90% our same genetic material. So they look at how long this dye stays in the worm genome through these generations. Fascinating. So that programming is from way back there. And if you hold your breath when you're stressed, then that programming is going to take over. It's going to dictate to you, and it's going to orient to you, or you can stop, take 3 to 10 deep breaths, and choose love. Once again, God bless you. Big Papa loves you. Please share Post Daily Dose, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Hey, Lynn from Indiana, and hello there, Tracy.